Hello, this is Andy Stack, and I am going to take you through some top-down market sizing research done for go-to-market for Trovio. So here is the executive summary. The main things that I'm going to walk through here, I'm going through the TAM, which is the largest market opportunity, the SAM, which is focused on video, and then the SOM, which is what can Trovio realistically capture within that. And so the good news is that the TAM for all of LLM spending is absolutely huge and absolutely growing. It's very healthy, $75 billion this year. No wonder NVIDIA is doing so well. But what's interesting is that training data is just a small sliver of that, 3 to 5%. It's still very large and very healthy for us, roughly $3 to $4 billion for us to play in. So let's focus on video. Video training is roughly about a third of all training in the LLM space. Of that, within video, 70% of that is for licensing and acquisition. That is higher than in other modes because video is more tricky and it's easier to get text and audio, for example. But what jumped out here is some research that video ads, robotics, and avatars or digital humans are three interesting market segments to look at and focus and capture in the short term. So how are we doing this year? Where can we grow this year? By our estimates, Trovio is doing pretty well. 24% market share of video licensing, which is good. It feels about right, and that's very good for a first year. And where we're going to go with this is the last takeaway is that there can be some very interesting low-hanging fruit, bump up in revenue of maybe 2 to 4x in revenue per hour by just capturing more of the LLM supply chain stack. That means going more to annotations, data delivery, and benchmarking. So that's the summary. Let's dive into the overall TAM. Again, very large in terms of spending compared overall spending to training data. This is why NVIDIA is doing so well because of so much is being spent on the cloud and GPU. But what's interesting is that training data, still very healthy, decreasing over time in 5 years, increasing in absolute value, but compliance and risk management is an other interesting segment to pay attention to. Now, from overall, here's the overall training data. That data acquisition licensing makes up about 40%. Now, in video, it's 70%, as I mentioned earlier. So this is where Scale AI also plays in on terms of data processing and annotation. And then you have data management, which is roughly 10%. So interesting things to keep in mind from the top level of opportunity. So let's look at video now. So within video, we have a very healthy $1 to $1.4 billion market opportunity here today. And this includes an estimate of what China's video training spend is as well. So let's dive into some segments here. What kind of jumps out are the blue is for this year, 2025. We can see video advertising, digital twins and avatars, robotics, both being relatively sizable, but then they are the ones that also are growing at a much larger rate over time. And so that's important to take a look at. So we've got this chart here, the insights to pull from this. Why is robotics interesting? Not only is it the largest growth, but it's driven by a lot of VLM demand right now. And as an example, ByteDance's model, which was launched in May of 2025, we could offer them a $20 million annual subscription just for 3,000 hours a year of fine-tuning for this higher value segment. So then also video advertising, we know that there's a large of spend both upfront and could be ongoing for tuning, and also some information about digital twins and avatars. So a possible plan here is prioritize guidance, video ads, and digital twins, both for hyperscalers and startups, Hit them first with foundational raw upfronts and then capture them with subscriptions for fine tuning and curation. All right, now let's look at the share of market or serviceable obtainable market. So based on the top down and our bottom up, I'm estimating that Trovio is about at 24% market share of video licensing. Again, very healthy. It's not out of the realm of possibility. And again, here's a breakdown as to how things are a little bit more different in video. Video within training data, 70% goes to data acquisition and licensing. Less spend right now on the data processing, but these two segments are significant, which we're going to talk about shortly. So here's the table breakdown, and I think that's about it for this video. I'm going to talk about how Scale AI can be used as a proxy to figure out ways to expand in my next video.